when you find out what you love and what you're really good at, and you find your gift, it just flows. You don't get tired. You're just excited about doing what you're doing. Okay. And I think that's one of the things that's flowing our energy. Okay. But we get locked into the contracts. We get locked into somebody, and it's like, can I pull the two of you apart for a minute? Because this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lonnie. I am Lady Braven of the Pride, and I am very excited today to have my dear friend, Sandra Alexae Moren.
That's it.
Yes, we have done a number of podcasts and interviews together because we always have so many fascinating and interesting things to talk about. Sandra is also one of the co-authors of The Game Changer, and this book is available on Amazon. But what me and Sandra are going to be talking about today is one of my favorite topics of all times. I love to get right deep and into soul contracts. So welcome to Lady Braven of the Pride. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having this conversation with me today, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm really wonderful, and I'm really excited. But this is funny. It's got a little square that said this meeting is being recorded. Will that show on the screen?
Nope.
Oh, because I'm the only one that can see it then. Okay. Yeah. Okay, no. Thank you so much. And this is absolute divine time to be talking about this, because what is happening right now. Okay. And so, and as I'm preparing for it, then what happens, I get downloads, and I wake up and I have different things, and I'm told specific things that I have to add. So I want to welcome you all here today, and I'm really excited about this. And I think it's very, very important for each one of you at this specific time. And what I'm going to say is, the last couple of years, what has been revealed is the true colors of individuals, organizations, and everything. And it's about really discovering who you are and taking your power and your sovereignty, okay? And getting in touch with the divine. That being said, now I want to start very basic. For some of you, it might be too basic. For others, it's just like, wow, that's really interesting, okay? And any time you can add to it, we play. Okay, that's how we're going to do this together.
Absolutely. So, I have a question just to start off here.
Sure.
Okay, so how would you describe yourself? As an astrologer? What are your what is your background?
My background. Okay. My background is, I'm a teacher, I'm an author, I'm a spiritual and business coach. I have other books that I've offered. My website is mypersonalmuse.com. I've been involved in the spiritual for years. I had a near-death experience. And when I was 3 years old, my grandpa really taught me what the other side was all about. Okay. And so it's just real to me. Okay. Yeah. This is just the physicality. And so I do workshops. I've been a teacher. I'm going to actually start doing some workshops online for people so that they can understand their astrology charts and numerology. For me, it's about helping people to find their passion, their purpose, and then just to share it with the world. I guess you would say that.
I love that. And thank you for everything you do. I actually feel a very similar calling. So I know that we're on the same path.
Yeah, we have the same frequency. And that's that's another thing about contracts. You and I have been together somewhere before, and we had to meet at this specific time. And that's when we talk about soul contracts.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to say first is that we are basically energy beings. Okay, we're energy beings and we have a physical body. Okay, number one. And we are souls. Now, souls, when somebody moves over, people will say they die or whatever, they move over. The soul just moves over. And I've been in dying rooms to help the soul move over, not so much to help the soul, but to help the people to allow the soul to move over.
Right.
To let it move over. And it's a blessing. Okay. Their job is done. Let's put it that way.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the soul and the consciousness the same thing?
You know, that's a really good question. Okay. I honestly can't say I know. I just know that I know when I went over. That's all I can say. When I went over, because when I was younger, I used to have these 3 lights come to the end of the bed all the time. And I was a sleepwalker and I was very busy. And when I went over, I was out of the country and I got very ill. And when I went over, it was just a very peaceful movement. So I don't know if it was my soul, my consciousness, I guess it's both. Okay. And I was met by these 3 lights. Now, the interesting thing is that 2 larger lights were very emphatic that I go back because I hadn't finished my work. The little one had sadness because he knew how I wanted to stay because it was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. Okay. And so when I came back, then I was actually off work for a year. I was told I'd be in a wheelchair, but it was one of the most marvelous times of my life because I had to go through that. So if there's anything I can say, all I know is that I guess my soul and my consciousness is connected for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all I know is that when you're having a hard time, you have to bless it and say, what is it that you're learning from it? Okay, so let's go. So if we're energy beings, okay, and we have a physical body and we have a spiritual body, I always look at it as the 8. 8 is a number for me because it's a sign of infinity. And if it's 8 this way, I say, think of the bottom part of the 8 as your physical body. I can touch it. Think of the top part of the 8 as my spiritual part. It's non-physical. My job is to align my physical body and my spiritual consciousness essence. Okay. A majority of people haven't. So we've had to go through what we've gone through. I'm not going to go through that. That's Pluto in Capricorn. That's the whole thing that I talked about in 2008, where everything would be totally deconstructed so that we don't listen to this person, this person, this person, this person. What we do is we connect with our higher consciousness, our higher self, and we become our own master. That's the self-mastery, that's the sovereignty, that's the self-empowerment, okay? So if we talk about that, that's our whole being. Now, if you can add anything, that's just what I can say, that's our being.
No, I love it. Please continue.
Also, what I know is I fully believe in reincarnation, okay? And I've been regressed, I've done lots of things with it. I've been very blessed. But what I do know is we have soul families, okay? And so it's not just a biological family, okay?
Right.
There's a biological family, then there's a spiritual family, and then there's ancestral families, and there's other dimension families, and we're light workers, and we're star seeds, and we're here on missions, okay? Different people. And I think that's really, really important. And so if we understand that, then it's like, okay, certain people in our families or certain people at work or certain people where we move and whatever, we meet them and they can trigger us or we can trigger them. That's how you know.
A trigger is also like an activation.
Exactly. And so you can get really pissed off and kind of angry. And then if you take a deep breath and say, wow, what is it that I need to? And that's very prevalent right now the amount of people that have split up. And that's what Game Changer was about, because I wrote about it years ago, started it, that when we move into the Aquarian energy, we don't have the codependency. There's no parasite, there's no energy vampire, there's no host. We become whole beings. And when we're whole beings, then you can share in that kind of energy as to holding somebody hostage,
Right.
controlling them. Okay, so that's really important. Now, I just got to see, I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So we go karma, we go past life. Now what we're going to look at is what is our soul contracts. We have ancestral karma. We have enslavement codes. And that's the big one that is being broken right now. And this is very exciting. That's why I got so excited, because this came to me through the night. And I thought, oh, I should have known this. And I did know it, but it brought it to my awareness. Okay. So what is the soul contract? Everybody says, wait, it's an energetic connection. You and I have an energetic connection, and we have not physically met. It's there. I wish I worked with a lady in Portugal. I have an energetic connection with her. And that's the Aquarian, the Uranus energy. Okay. And yes, we're going through a lot of tough times, but we're going through a lot of beautiful times, because the med beds are out now. There's 4 of them in the United States. We're going to go into a lot of healing and that type of thing, but it's energetic healing.
Right.
Okay? That's the
there's so much energetic healing going on right now.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited for you to tell me about what you just told me. I've been looking for something like that for years.
Right.
Okay. So now we have the physical, we have the spiritual. So if you can just remember, here's my body, this is my physical. This here is my spiritual, and it's my non-physical. So everybody concentrates on this. And this is where I have to bring this up. I've just been told this. Okay, because a lot of people think that this material world is so important. Like, I've got to have so much money, I've got to have this vehicle, I've got to have this car, I've got to have this, I've got to have that. The one thing that I've always known all my life is when we move to the other side, we take nothing with us.
That's right.
What do we take with us? We take our what our soul has learned, what our gifts are, what our consciousness is, because everything is consciousness. How conscious are you? How are you awake? I have these 2 little kids, one's 5 and 6 years old. They are more conscious than probably 90% of the people I know.
Because they haven't been programmed or indoctrinated yet.
They're just amazing. I mean, they come over, it's my son's friends, they come over and she goes, like, my name is Raya. Like, I'm 7. And this is my brother. And I need you to know that sometimes we don't get along, but we're here to really support each other.
Yeah, these little light beings, they already came in with so many past lives and so much wisdom, these little guys. And
thank God they're not going to be, and I honestly feel and I taught for 20 years in the public school boards.
Yeah.
The education as we know it is done.
Yes.
Everything all of those programs are done. They're finished, okay? But right now is such a divine time, because now we talked about that, okay? The next thing we're going to move to is, but why now?
Hold on. Sorry. I want to go back to soul contracts.
Okay.
Okay, so in my mind, I kind of visualize an actual contract that we wrote before we came here.
Yes.
Yes. Before we came here, we decided who are the major people that are going to come into our lives that we're going to connect with, and what are the major lessons that we're going to learn from those people. And I mean, who's going to break our heart, and who's going to trigger this activation? Who's going to trigger this healing? And everybody comes in at the right time. Now, we always have, and then, of course, there's the veil of forgetting. So as soon as you're born, you, for the most part, you forget everything, right?
Oh, this is
And
great.
then,
Yeah, I got to share too. Okay.
yeah.
It's
And
perfect.
then as you go throughout your life with your own free will, you have different experiences and people come into your life. And then you have these relationships and you start learning these big, big lessons. And I feel like all of those were contracted, but we're
They
the
were.
ones that wrote the contract.
Yes. And
Yeah,
that's why it's got to be, everybody's got to take personal responsibility and
that's
can't
right.
play the victim. You are not a
Exactly.
victim. Okay, that's very powerful. And two things I need to say. First and foremost, you talked about the veil.
Mm.
I was born with the veil. Okay.
Mm.
And so when I was born, the doctor came to my mom and said, that girl is going to be very lucky later in life. Okay. But not, her life isn't going to be that easy. And then I looked into it. The sailors actually bought the veils. The people sold them from the babies because they were safe on the ocean when they were traveling. And over in Greek and Roman time, if a baby was born with a veil, they hid it because they figured that they had extra sight and they would have the power. Okay, so there's a big thing about the veil, and the veil is very thin right now. Okay,
Right.
for everybody. Okay, the next thing is when I do astrology, because I've done it for 50 years, I learned from a lady when I was, because I train every Sunday, I train, I belong to associations. She was from Europe, and she said, I look at only one thing in the chart, the nodes.
The nose?
The nodes, N-O-D-E-S.
Okay, I'm like,
okay, no. But anyway, I get so excited about it because that's where I kind of go. And so I can work specifically with that.
Yeah.
The nodes say, okay, so I'm on the other side in another dimension, in another plane, wherever you want to say it. Okay. And so this is so I can see it. Okay. So you're pumped. It's like, okay, I have learned. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm choosing my mom and dad. And I'm going to come down because they're going to teach me things and I'm going to teach them. So guess what? I always say, think of it as a sprinkly fairy dust as you come down and you're born and you forget everything. And so what is the old philosophers? What did they say? Who am I and why am I here? Socrates, Plato, those type of people. Okay. And so that's what this is all about. And so your notes are, what are you teaching? What are you learning? Okay. Right. And so you can't judge. It's the more conscious you are, the more awake you are, then you know, and then you don't have to struggle. Because all of a sudden you get tired of struggling and saying, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm surrendering, okay, and listening. And that's what's been happening now. But so the contracts, this is a rare cosmic journey. Completing the soul contracts is when you reclaim your sovereignty. And what has been the big word this last year or two? Sovereignty. Right. Okay. Now, significant soul contracts, soul stories, and energetic connections have been clearing out since an expansive new energy entered the galaxy through the galactic center. Now, the galactic center, okay, this is important here. The galactic center sits at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, okay? And it is a center of our Milky Way. It's the source, now this is interesting, the source of the energetic particles that bathe the Earth. With the recent years of the sun being fairly quiet and Earth's magnetic field weakening a bit, these particles, infrared and gamma, have been able to make their way into the Earth's energy field, where we know that the Schumann resonance has been higher. There's been a change in that. These particles are thought, listen to this, to open up the subconscious mind, urging it to both release old emotional wounds and traumas, and also to engage our new paradigm roles. In fact, the galactic center acts as a transmitter of the divine consciousness. And you said consciousness, we taught. Right. That is the power. But guess so.
Okay. So with what you just said, my interpretation of what you just said is that is all about completing our karma. right? So completing
Yes.
our karma and then moving on to our dharma. So when we're opening up our subconsciousness and we're releasing all of our past wounds and trauma, we're learning lessons, we're completing those karmic reverberation cycles. And once we've completed our karma, we get to move into our dharma, which is our path, our reason for being here. Yeah, so I love everything that you just said.
That's our purpose. And I get goosebumps. That's our purpose. I used to get goosebumps so bad when I lived in Hawaii. The kahuna ladies would say to me, I would start shaking and they go, it's goosebumps or chicken skin. Yeah, or chicken skin, they used to say. And they say that's when spirit talks. You always know.
It's a resonance, right? You're resonating with the words, with the energy and the intention behind everything that we're saying. You get goosebumps and you know that you're listening to the truth.
Exactly. And that's just it. So now we have been receiving higher energetic downloads that have required us to change our consciousness and belief systems at a soul level. So as an astrologer, I do soul evolution, as opposed, there's nothing wrong with the other, but because of my placements where my moon is and whatever, that's where I go. That's my purpose, I've been told, resulting in life changes in particular areas. Now, this is interesting. The energy began at 27 degrees of Sag, the galactic center, in November of 2019.
Okay, what happened then?
And carries through, well, it started hitting it, and it carries through until 18 degrees of Taurus in the natal chart into 2023. And right now, to this day, we're sitting at 18 degrees of Taurus.
Okay.
And we have a huge, huge Uranus, which is Uranus's higher consciousness. That's what I said. Timing is perfect right now. Okay. And so this journey through this unfolding stream of change is to clear out and complete and transition into new adventures, story, and soul contracts. And so that's where I said, we've got all these soul contracts that we're clearing off from years and eons and that type of thing. But as we move through, like maybe 6 months ago, we picked up another soul contract. Okay. And so that's why for me, I don't let, especially when it comes to males, okay, because I had finished off a contract with the book. And so I don't want anybody around me right now.
I have a question. Okay, with soul contracts, now, are we talking about the contracts that we made before we came here? Now, when we're talking about finishing them off, is that completing karma?
That's completing the karma.
Okay, so in this lifetime, we can create new contracts with people using our free will?
Yes, and that's what it's saying here. It says we're journeying through this unfolding stream of change as we clear out what is complete and transition into new adventures, stories, and new soul contracts. Right. And that's why it's so important, Lenny, for people to...
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, to clear them out, it's just like, it's a cleansing, it's like a detoxing. And so there's no point in getting mad if they trigger you or if you trigger them, because I can trigger some people like it's your fault. I went, no, I'm your trigger.
Right.
And if I get upset and I want to acquire something, it's all right. It's my trigger. I've got to deal with it. So again, it's owning it. It's taking it. If we want to be, we're talking, Lori talks lots and lots of people. We're our own sovereign person now. We have our personal power. We're going to do self-mastery. Well, you know what? Those are words. In order to get there, what do we have to do? And that's another thing. It has not been easy the last couple of years. I don't know about you. The ascension processes, because we have been ascending. This is a DNA thing we're clearing too, okay? We're ascending, but it affects us physically. So a lot of people have been really tired. A lot of people have been really detoxing. A lot of people have had a lot of physical problems, a lot of mental, emotional. But the exciting thing is today is when it's like, wake up. This is when you just go wham, and you go, wow, look at where we've been, look at where we're going, and we have the most beautiful, beautiful new moon coming up in Leo, and the sun is in Leo, and the moon is in Leo, and guess what? Just what we just finished.
I'm a Leo.
Yes, the solar. What did we just finish? The solar and the lunar eclipses, which are the same as our nodes that we're in, Taurus, Scorpio. Okay, and so that's all activated. So now it's like, shine. But how can you shine if you're full of sludge?
Right. So you have to clear out the channel, get rid of the karma, complete the soul contracts. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. I just want to make a note. I just want to actually plug, as long as we're talking about personal growth work, I just want to talk about this Lionheart Activation Journal.
Right.
This is a program that I created a couple years ago. I guess it was in 2020. And what it is a 30-day journaling challenge to create a brave and abundant mindset. And the important thing about doing that or something like this is that understanding our past traumas, why we think the way we think, why we act the way we act, and why we feel the way we feel, that is all a part of doing our own personal growth work. And that is what's going to help us process these triggers, learn the lesson, complete the karma, let go and detach. Detaching is so important right now, detaching from everything that we fear to lose. So I want to go back to an example of what you were just talking about. A couple months ago, I was in a bit of a relationship. Not really, I was seeing a guy, and I was like, I thought everything was going really well, and I was kind of falling in love with them, opening my heart and, you know, spending a lot of time. And then after maybe a month and a half, he ghosted me. Just like that, ghosted me. And I want to tell you what this did to me.
So, but what's ghosting? Ghosting is he just disappears.
He just disappeared. Yes. He went from texting me like 5 times a day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, every day, to just completely gone. So what did that do? That triggered so much inside of me. That triggered fear, my fears of abandonment, rejection, low self-worth, not being good enough, all of these triggers, but that also activated my own healing process because I took full ownership. And from all of that healing, like the phoenix rising out of the flames of its own destruction, it empowered me like you would not believe. I am so much stronger, so much more confident, wiser, powerful. I am so much more detached, independent, more self-love. All of this came from that guy doing that. So that was a soul contract. He came into my life.
He was gone.
And then he was gone, and he triggered my own phoenix process.
But the whole thing is you became more conscious. You were more aware, but the whole thing was you took responsibility. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, don't point the finger. I always say, if I point a finger, there's 4 coming back at me. Okay. So even when I go through a relationship, it's just a minute. So what part did I play in it? And I go deep because I know that I had karma to learn, but I also had karma that I had to fix with that person.
That's right. But hold on. That's not to say that I didn't sit in my own sadness for quite a while.
No, you did.
Maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
I cried about it for 3 days. And then I got on with the rest of my life. But in retrospection, I mean, maybe even like 10 years ago, if a guy were to ghost me like that, I would probably be devastated for a very long time. And then when it happened this time, it took me about 3 days to sit in the fire of my own creation, feel those feelings, those painful feelings of rejection and heartbreak and all of those things. I really felt them so that I could process them and release them.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people, when they're heartbroken, something happens like that, they suppress the emotions, they look for a distraction, and then they don't really release that energy. And they hold it inside of them, and they become bitter. They become the victim. They become, all of these things because they're not doing their own work and they're not taking ownership of what just happened.
Okay.
So
that's perfect. And this is where I want to say, because there's different people that say things. I had the opportunity to work for 13 years with Aboriginal women, and they taught me so much. And we played, okay? They used to say to you, "You're kind of crazy lady." But we did the dance. Yeah. And everybody got to where they were supposed to. Okay. It was a beautiful call. But I used to say to them, they used to say, "But no, we can't get mad or we can't get sad." And I go, "Why?" And they go, well, because we're not supposed to. I go, "No. What does a child do?" And that's what I'm saying to everybody now. And even in my teaching, you've got to own it. Yes. And so guess what? I could be teaching or doing something or with somebody, and all of a sudden the tears start and they go, "Well, is there something wrong?" And I go, like, there's just kind of, it could be a tear of sadness. It could be a tear of joy, but it's there. Okay. Yeah. And then like, "No, you kind of pissed me off in the moment." Okay. It's authenticity. Yeah. It's being transparent. Okay. And you know what I took it to? One day I got up and it got to me. It was just like, oh my God. Think of nature. We are nature here because we're on this earth. Okay. Yeah. What happens? We have the seasons change. We have the full moon. And what do we have? Today, the sun is shining. So the sun is shining. Tomorrow, there might be a rainstorm. Okay. Then there could be a windstorm. Then there could be a tsunami. So I have to process everything. That's this is very good. Part of my job, my sadness, if I get really sad, and I totally sense, my word is sense and know. I sense and know that when we don't process those emotions, we can get very ill. Right, physically ill from it. And so that is now, that's a trigger for it. So, right. And I just actually did an interview with Paul Lionheart. If anybody wants to look up one of my other interviews, it's called The Sole Purpose of Pain. And he wrote a book called The Root Cause of Cancer. And he is very good at getting right down to the root cause of any kind of illness or disease. And it's almost always related to some stressor in our lives, whether it's in relationship or finances or career. But it's a fascinating interview, and it's also on my channel, Lady Brave of the Pride. So you guys can look that one up too. It's really good. I have to go get that one, and I want to go and share some of your videos if I get them. Then I can share them on mine, and then people can see them. That's what it's all about, the sharing. So right now we are in the process of unfolding, and as it says, it gives us dates right through until 2023. And it's 18 degrees of Taurus. And let's talk about Taurus energy. The North node's in Taurus, the South node's in Scorpio. Every 18 years, it comes back to its sign. That's actually my nodal position. So they call it, I am having a nodal return. That only happens every 18 years for 18 months. And what happens is the angels hold you. Okay, that's a big thing. So what collectively are doing with the Taurus North Node, Taurus is ruled by what? Venus. Okay, it's an earth sign. Let's get practical. Let's keep it simple. Okay, that's the kind of thing that we need. And beauty and declutter. You can't have a lot of clutter, okay? Yeah. What Scorpio is emotions, and Scorpio is the dark side. So if I talk about the nodes in astrology, the South Node is where Carl Jung said, we got to go through our shadow to get to the light. Okay. So in the shadow, we have gifts, but we also have pain from past lives and that type of thing. And that's the ego. So we want to go through it and see that. Okay. And I'm not that. Carl Jung used to be an astrologer too. And he said he could do 2 and 3 sessions and cut through it more than anything. And that's his whole thing. So now collectively, that's what we're doing. Nobody can get away with anything. It don't work anymore. They can't hide it. They can only hide it for so long. And right now, July is powerful. July and August for the different energies that are coming through, Lenny. So I'm excited about the soul contracts.
Oh, I'm so excited about everything that's happening in the whole entire universe right now. But I also want to ask you another question. I'm sorry, I keep on backtracking because
no, there's never any sorry. There's always
so can you speak a little bit more about enslavement codes?
Right.
What are those and how are we releasing them right now?
Okay, this is perfect. Okay, enslavement codes, if we go back centuries and centuries, what did we have? We had the kings, we had the caste systems, all of those kind of things. Okay, so now we've all kind of been floating along thinking we live in a democracy and we're doing our things. Okay, but if we really look collectively, we're slaves.
Right.
We're slaves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
unknowingly.
Exactly.
Unconsciously.
Right. But guess what? That's being broken.
Yes.
And nobody even realizes it. I mean, it's over. It's a war, but it's really.
And I think a key to freeing ourselves from our physical slavery is, like Bob Marley said, emancipating ourselves from the mental slavery first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. There's no mental slavery. Then the next thing that's really important, okay, is that we have this. I don't know if you know about the Gene Keys. The Gene Keys. Okay, I love the Gene Keys. I met Mathew when I was living in Duncan, and we just clicked. And he said to me, "When's your birthday?" We were doing something else, and here he's a Gene Key master. I said to him, "What are you doing? You need to be this." That's what he does now. And his wife is one of the top mediums on the West Coast. They live in Duncan.
Okay, what are Gene Keys?
So Gene Keys, you take your name of birth, you take your time of birth and your name and everything, and he plugs it in. And we have 11 keys. Those keys, okay, there's a Venus key, there's a purpose key, there's an activation key. I studied it for 2 years with them, okay? And what happens, they are very similar to astrology, okay? So you have this gene code and it could be Uranus and whatever. And it's just, I loved it. Well, of course, because of astrology. But it showed me a different part of me, which is really interesting. That's why I found it fascinating, okay? And I believe in discovering self. That's, to me, the key to life is know thyself and to thyself be true. And I want to go to the Oracle of Delphi. That's one of my dreams, okay? I have to go there. But anyway, he said to me one time, he said, golly, so it shows your shadow, it shows your enlightenment and where you're going to go. Okay. And so people get afraid when they see that.
It shows when you're going to go.
When you're going to move through that, to reach your Dharma. Actually, what it is I'm working on my karma, I'm figuring it out. And then once I hit that, I'm open and free to do my Dharma.
You do these kind of gene code readings?
I don't do them. Mathew does.
All right.
Okay, Mathew does. I do the astrology and I do the nodes. Okay. And that's what I love. That's one of my favorite things. It's just like, wow, when somebody's ready, it's like the egg bursts.
Should we mention his website or anything for anybody that's interested in a gene code reading?
Yes, Mathew Ashdown, and he's in Duncan, and I can send you the information.
Okay.
Love him. Sometime you should talk to him. You should.
I would love to. I am fascinated with all of this.
It's fascinating. And the reason is he said to me, because I referred a lot of people to him, we refer back and forth, and I've interviewed him. And he said to me, God, you've got powerful people around you. But you see, I have a North Node in the 11th house. So I'm very out there. Okay. And he said, but that's interesting because one of mine is greed. Okay. And so it's like, but I can't really relate to greed. Okay. Because I've never been a hoarder of anything or whatever. But if you understand it, this is what really got to me. And this is what, because what is happening right now since 2008, Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn is saying, these are the things I'm going to break. I'm going to break this system, this hierarchy. It's going to go this way. It's going to be Aquarian, number one. Number two, anybody, any organization that has these qualities, I will totally destroy. That is greed, corruption, power over, control, anything like that. So, and what is greed? Greed is, I mean, I know women that have 200 pairs of jeans. I only need 2, okay? And I've never been.
So what's the difference between greed and hoarding?
Okay, well, greed and hoarding are very similar. Okay, because what do you do with when you're greed? There's almost like a fear. So people will, with greed, it's not just money, it's sex, it's eating, it's buying, it's everything. Okay.
Fear of scarcity, not having enough. So
Right.
they try and take everything that they can get their hands on.
Exactly. And we've seen a lot of that happen during the pandemic because a lot of people are very overweight. They were feeding themselves.
And a lot of people apparently thought that they needed a lot of toilet paper.
Exactly. That's a good one. Now, this is fascinating because this one I got, like, I love Mathew. I've learned so much from him. Okay. And it's like greed. What is the next thing that you go up to is aspiration. What's the difference with greed and aspiration? And
okay, so greed is something that you want because you have a fear of scarcity. Aspiration is something that you are trying to achieve by following a passion.
Right. And so basically so if we think of the 2 different parts of ourselves, okay, if we think of greed, it has everything to do. I need more sex. I need more food. I need more money. I need more clothes. I need more in my bank. I need more physical. And the aspiration, and I guess I've been that way all my life because I've owned beautiful homes. What do you call them? Commercial properties and whatever. And they will come and they will go when I can be free. Okay.
So greed is more 3D and aspiration is more 5D.
Right. Because you know what it is? The only thing for me that counts is when I leave here, what have I contributed and what have I learned on a spiritual level? So that's why for me, when I talk that I'm an astrologer and numerologist and I look at energy signatures, it's more about the evolution of the soul.
Right.
Okay, it's the soul evolution. And so there are still some people that are very wealthy, okay, and they're not necessarily greedy. That was their path.
Yeah.
That's just their path. And so people will say to me, well, that person's bad because he's no, that's a judgment. If they're living all right, that's all right. And I always say karma's a bitch, so you're not going to hide it.
Right.
I did some work over in Musquedo, Man, and these people did this, these women did this special ceremony with all these oils. And it's like, wow, it was almost scary. And when I got back here, one of my Lebanese friends said, Sandra, he said, people would spend thousands of dollars to have that. They cleared that aura and they protected it.
Right.
Okay. Because when you're really open and you're really wanting to help people, and discernment was something I had to sit with for years to understand because I'm too open. So then I can be, so if somebody tries to trash me in different ways, it's just like, well, why did they do that? And now I have my boundaries, personal boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries are important. And also I've been learning how to detach from not only people, places and things, but outcomes. Just completely detach and have healthy boundaries.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and even detach from emotions. And the year that I was sick, I trained with Deepak. I did the Ayurvedic medicine. I did so many different things. And I can always remember what they said when you're flowing down the river, Deepak used to say, don't catch the side of the water and it's happy and hold there, because it's a fleeting moment.
It's a fleeting moment.
Let it go. And then on the other side, if there's a sadness or whatever, it's also a fleeting moment. So as you flow through life, so for me, it's about flowing through life. And if I get caught, if I catch, then I have to say, gee, I need to look deeper. And then there's something called contemplation with the gene keys. And so if you go through something called confusion, I said to Mathew, I've been confused for 6 months. I'm tired of being confused. And you can't change the confusion. It's like Neptune is a cloudy planet. It's very spiritual.
This is so fascinating that energy is, our emotion is energy in motion. And it's our soul's way of communicating with our physical body by passing this energy through our body. And if we can acknowledge the energy and process it and allow it to move through us, through self-expression, some sort of expression, like maybe hitting a pad, or if it's anger, or just getting that energy out of us. If we can allow it to move through us, then it's just pure soul communication. And if we don't hold on to it and suppress it, as like we do with trauma, then it doesn't have any effect on our physical body.
Because it's free. That's why I like the Chinese medicine. Because basically when you do acupuncture, that it's congested energy that they open it. Now, another thing, I was in my last year at university and I was taking a summer course. It was a psychology, because I have a psych minor, and it was a small class, 8. And of course we had this professor, and I was pretty outspoken all the time, but there was 8 of us. And there was this woman sitting beside me. And so it was like in a horseshoe, there was 8 of us. And so we introduced ourselves. She introduces herself and she looks at me and she goes, I effing hate you, Sandra. And I go, well, that's your choice. I don't care. But anyway, the weirdest thing was that it was
that's an odd thing for somebody to say.
We're just waiting here. So anyway, so the professor then threw our names in a hat, and we had to do 8 hours of counseling. In those days, it was the old cassettes. And he goes, I'm sorry, Sandra, you got with her. And I guess part of that's where it was supposed to be. And so we did our thing, and we didn't have any blow-ups or anything. The last day of class, the last day, she got up and just went nuts and physically attacked. Thank God she never did that to me. Physically attacked our prof. We had to call security. And then,
professor?
Yes, then you know what she did? She went just like jelly and laid on the floor. Okay, now guess why?
That was an expression.
Right, well, she was bulimic. Okay, and so she was an English major. She had a master's degree, whatever. And she didn't like me because I was so emotional. What I did was help her trigger her emotions, and she broke. But I've never, ever seen that before. Jelly. It was just like Jello. And so that was her breakthrough. So there's 2 words right now we're doing through. We're doing breakthrough and breakdown.
Right.
And know the difference, and know if you're going through that, find someone that you can work with. And all I have to say, I did a reading for somebody the other day, and she said, my husband divorced me because this person told me they should. You never, ever, you need to know what your soul wants. Right. If I work with somebody, I say, you take this information and you sit with it and you come to it. To me, that I don't believe in that. That's just me. Okay. I want everybody's soul to honor who they are at this point, work for sovereignty, and work to clean your contracts, because this is perfect. We've got till 2023. This is perfect. So we have our ancestral, okay, which is family. I've got a big one with my grandma. Okay. Then we have the enslavement codes. It's just like, oh, Why do we have a king and a queen? And and the story of Buddha, where did Buddha go? What was he worth and where did he go?
Right.
Okay.
So what does it mean to be sovereign, and what does it mean to stand under our own authority, and what is natural law? All of these things are coming up and people are learning about what it means. Natural law is like God's law, and the number one premise is do no harm.
That's right.
Do no harm.
That's it.
So moving into the future, we are going to be reducing the government structure by like 90%. No more rules, no more regulations, mandates, restrictions. All of these things are completely unnecessary because the number one rule in natural law is do no harm. And if we can govern ourselves with a higher consciousness, with an elevated frequency and a higher consciousness and stepping into our path and our purpose, if we can govern ourselves with that number one rule, all of those rules, regulations, government restrictions, all of it is unnecessary.
And that's what this is about.
Yeah.
So by 2023, Pluto moves into Aquarian. We've hit to Aquarian once, and people go, well, what's Aquarian? Because basically that's what Game Changer was. The new model of relationships, very Aquarian.
Right. So Sandra, I have another question. You said that one of your main reasons for being here, part of your Dharma, is to remove the greed, all of the greed, right? Yeah. Okay.
And so moving in and to find, so everybody finds their purpose and passion.
Right. I love that. Okay. So moving into 2023, how do you visualize? I visualize. I'm going to tell you what I visualize, but I want to know how you visualize 2023. So after we've exposed all of the corruption, we've removed the greed consciousness or the greed vibration.
And corruption.
That's right. Okay, so that means that we're going to be moving into a period of universal global peace, prosperity, abundance for everyone, natural health, communities, smaller communities, removing governments, what else? Different levels of communication, more telepathy, that's for sure.
Oh, way more.
Yeah. So we're moving into a period starting in 2023. Yeah. Removing all of those lower vibrations and moving into a period where everybody's going to be abundant.
Yes, but I'd like to clarify, this is just my thing. Okay. First and foremost, they say the age of Aquarius. So a lot of people will go back to the age of Aquarius when the age of Aquarius is smoking dope and sitting around and doing that. We're into more of a mature Aquarian. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is higher consciousness. And you said to begin with, we're coming right back to the beginning, it's higher consciousness. So guess what? What's going to happen is we're going to have smaller countries. We're going to have different sections. Okay. It's not going, I don't see it as being socialistic. Okay. No. What it is we get so pumped that we share our gift. And in turn for sharing our gift, we're compensated still with the energy, with money. There's still the exchange. Right. Okay. Because we're talking about this Bitcoin. I said it, but anyway, I'm not even going to get in there. But so it's like we barter, we share, we whatever. Okay.
I love that.
But, but a lot of people said, well, and this is just, they said the aliens are going to save us. They're going to come. And I went, they're afraid of us. We're too crazy, number one. And then they go, well, Trump is going to save us. I went, no.
Why is everybody looking for somebody to save us? We have to save ourselves.
That's it. Find yourself, discover yourself, find your gifts, and then share your gifts. When you share your gift, then you get the compensation. And you know, my mentor, actually, she's here right now, because the last time I had a reading was 2020. She was 96 years old. She was my first astrology teacher, loved her. And she said to me, you know, Sandra, you and I were astrologers together, Chaldean astrologers. Okay. And I said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm 96, lived in her own home, beautiful. Had just written her 4th book, was teaching classes and doing sessions and reading. Okay. And she said to me, she said, where your Saturn is, she showed me. She said, be prepared in the next couple of years. You're going up there. That's when your real work is going to start. And anyway, she passed away that year. But she passed away at peace, and I was celebrating for her.
Yeah.
Because I have a different idea. So we are coming into a beautiful, beautiful, think about it. Think about the healing. Why do you think the pharmaceutical is so crazy with us right now? Because they know we don't need any of it.
That's right. And because they have to show their corruption so we can all choose to collapse that entire industry.
Exactly, because now the 4 med beds are out. You've got that stuff I want you to talk about. I need to, honestly, that has been coming to my mind for the last year, because wherever I was in another place, I didn't need to eat.
Right.
It was the liquid gold.
So I will talk about this briefly. I just did a video with David Pills on Ormus. Ormus is monatomic gold. This is when you have it in a liquid form and you take maybe 1 or 2 drops under your tongue every day, it actually helps to build up your light body. Gold is a superconductor, and in its monatomic form, it helps with cell regeneration. So I don't know if you can see on my face, I've been spraying it and all my wrinkles are gone.
Oh my God. Like, I guess I'm going to drink it. I'm gonna spray it.
But it also, I think it's probably playing a big part in healing some other aspects of my body at the moment. And it's also helping with connectivity, like activating my light channel and activating like our spiritual guidance and our awareness, and just activating our light body in general. So it helps with regeneration and anti-aging and scar tissue. It helps to regenerate scar tissue. There are a number of benefits actually also for people with Alzheimer or degenerative brain dysfunction.
Right.
It helps a lot with that because just like microdosing on mushrooms, it helps with the neurogenesis, rebuilding and regrowing the neural pathways in our minds that have been blocked from either a physical or an emotional trauma. And I've done a lot of healing modalities that help with that. So also I've got a whole book. I've got a couple books on Ormus gold. This one right here too. This is some of the origin and a couple books on it. And just a little side note, 350,000 years ago, the Anunnaki originally came to this planet mining Ormus, monatomic gold, because of its health properties and its life affirming abilities. And yeah, it's also been called the Philosopher's Stone, and it's been called white gold. What else is it called? It's called a lot of things, but I think it's absolutely fascinating. And my friend David Pills has an unlimited supply of it.
And where is he? Where is he?
He's in Abbotsford.
Oh, okay, so it's in Canada. That's perfect.
Yeah, but I have quite a bit of it as well, and I can put some links down below if anybody's interested in Ormus.
And I just had a message, because I get the messages as we're talking right now, as far as, and this is not a sales pitch, because it means nothing to me. I'm just concerned about the different souls, and I'm so excited about finishing the soul contracts. I've been talking about this for a few months. We're finishing the enslavement, the soul contracts, the past life, and I've worked really hard myself on it. Okay.
Right.
And doing that kind of thing is a lot of work. It's a lot of emotion. It's a lot of mental work and that type of thing. And I would really recommend that everybody need to get one of those right now for that. That's what I'm told. They don't have to do it. They don't have to do it, but I'm just recommending. And I need to hook you and Mathew up immediately.
Definitely. And I'd love to speak to Mathew. And I also agree with you 1000%. Right now is the time for people to be doing their spiritual growth work, their personal growth work, for them to be healing their past trauma, for them to be completing their karmic cycles and reverberation, and for them to discover their own soul purpose, soul contract, soul path, and Dharma. Right now is the time to do it. And this is, you could either, go through a meditation for 10 to 15 years, or start taking this, and it's going to help accelerate and activate your light body and all of your channel of light and all of your senses. And
because Uranus is in Taurus right now. And so the bottom line is Uranus is like lightning. It goes quick. Okay. And so it's like we're fast tracking a lot of stuff. And that's why anybody that wants to look about your past life, I do the nodal work, I do the karmic work, what's the purpose and everything is. I do Zoom readings for anybody, and you'll have my thing. And I think if we all work together, this is my thing. Everybody has a gift, money. And if we work, I'm one that I want to help people shine their light. That's one of my things. Okay.
And that's why I absolutely love having these conversations with you. You have so much information and wisdom to share. And I will definitely put all of your contact information in the description below this video, so people can connect with you and maybe have an astrology reading or receive some guidance.
Right. And so the whole thing is, if you understand that we all work together and everybody has their gifts. And so it's not, but if I know that somebody is not going to be honest, or I smell it, and I can't do that, because it's authenticity, can't be the corruption, that type of thing. It has to be true, sovereign being. So now here we are now moving into a time when we have our own contract with ourselves.
Right.
Ourself. So we have our sovereignty to ourself. Okay. We have our personal boundaries. And at that point, the greatest thing is, it's like, oh my God, this is what I love to do. And it was Paloma Picasso. Somebody said to him, why are you still working at 88 years old? He said, I love what I do. Richard Shatner, somebody said, you should be retiring. He goes, retiring from what? And I just want to kind of close from my end, just to say, so many people think, like somebody said to me, like, you're 70 some years old, you need to kind of move into a place and you need to do this and maybe go to bingo. And I go, you have no idea who I am. I just got in my car and I drove all the way out to Duncan from Alberta. Okay. I have so much to do. I'm going to Mexico in September. My life is just.
I'm going to Mexico in September.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'd like to drive down there to Baja. I want to go.
Oh, I've never been there. I'm going to Puerto Vallarta because I want to look at both Cerrillos. However, I want to say to everybody, you know what? When you find out what you love and what you're really good at, and you find your gift, it just flows. You don't get tired. You're just excited about doing what you're doing. Okay. And I think that's one of the things that's flowing our energy. Okay. But we get locked into the contracts. We get locked into somebody, and it's like, can I pull the two of you apart for a minute? Because this is what you need to do. And this is what you need to do.
Right.
And then you can come back.
I think it's so interesting. Well, in my life anyway, when I was younger, I was never, ever told to follow my heart, to follow my passion. And that's just the way I was raised. And I had to break free from that by going down the road that I thought other people wanted me to go down, and then making the choice to break free from that and start doing things that I was passionate about, that I loved, that ignited my soul. And what I would say to other people who are looking for their soul purpose, I would say, look at the lessons that you've been learning throughout your life. What do they have to do with? So what are the major lessons, and what are your major passions? What are you drawn to? What do you want to learn about? Where is your education and your background? Because all of that can help lead you to your soul purpose and your reason for being here, your Dharma.
Exactly. And I would say, kind of, because we're going to kind of end it, is right now is who in your life triggers you the most?
Right.
I would say who, and think of that, and don't get mad at them. And don't get me wrong, I've got some triggers written, but who is it? And what am I meant to learn? So instead of me going, it's like, wow, maybe I have to have stronger personal boundaries. Wow, maybe I don't have to take things so personally.
Right.
Wow, there's so many different, and it's not like people want to get so heavy when they do stuff. I need to do this and I need to do this for months and whatever. It's just like play.
Right.
That's the Leo in me. Like, it's like, let's play and let's play to be free.
Right.
We're free beings.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that so much. And I love everything that you've said so far about soul contracts and soul purpose, all of it. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching this video about soul contracts. Please like this video because it helps with my algorithm, and share with your friends that would like to learn more about soul contracts and soul purpose. And also subscribe to Lady Brave and of the Pride, because we have these courageous conversations and we go deep into conversation. There is nothing superficial about this channel. We get really deep into our reason for being here on the planet at this time, which happens to be a very exciting time. So thank you again for being here, and subscribe because courage is contagious.
And you know what? I just got a message. Okay. One of the really big things, okay, one of the big contracts is sexual contracts.
Okay, right.
Okay, and I do have to say this. We are moving more from the physicality of the sexuality to the soul.
Right.
To the soul. That's a big one, a really big one.
A whole nother conversation, but I totally agree with you. Sexuality for me is becoming much more sacred. It's becoming much more of a soul connection. Like, I have absolutely no attraction to people on a physical level anymore. I'm attracted to their soul.
Right. And there's a great song out by Bryce. It's about soul. And I just love it. And it just came up the other day, and that song played, and I thought, because that's a really big one, and that's a really, that's a dicey one, and it's a very powerful one, because the sexuality is very powerful.
I could definitely talk about that.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you so much, honey. This was awesome.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you